The quantum arrays at SETI's Mauna Kea facility had been quiet for decades. Dr. Elena Santos had spent 15 years studying the silence of the cosmos, searching for patterns in the void. That's why, when the first signal came, she almost dismissed it as another technical glitch. Almost. Dr. Santos. Her eye assistant's voice carried an unusual note of urgency. I'm detecting a coherent pattern in the quantum noise from the Carina sector. It doesn't match any known natural phenomena. Elena's fingers flew across her haptic interface, bringing up the raw data. The pattern was unlike anything she'd seen before. A complex series of quantum-entangled particles, carrying information in ways that shouldn't have been possible with current human technology. Her heart raced as she began the preliminary analysis. "Wake up the whole team," she ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "And get me a direct line to Earth Defense Command. This isn't just a signal, it's a message." Within hours, the facility was buzzing with activity. The message was being received simultaneously by every quantum detection array on Earth, a feat that demonstrated technological capabilities far beyond humanity's current understanding. As Elena and her team worked to decode it, the implications became increasingly clear and increasingly troubling. "The translation matrix is stabilizing," announced Dr. Raj Patel, Elena's chief cryptologist. "The quantum signatures are actually a form of universal mathematical language. They're telling us something about stellar energy." Elena leaned forward, watching as the decoded message took shape on their main display. The first clear images made her blood run cold. They showed a massive fleet of ships, each larger than Earth's moon, systematically harvesting the energy from entire star systems. And they were heading straight for Sol. The message continued, clinical and precise. "Notice of stellar harvesting operations to any semi-developed species in System Sol 3. The Nexus Collective hereby informs you of scheduled energy collection procedures in your star system. Our preliminary scans indicate your civilization has achieved basic spaceflight and rudimentary quantum detection capabilities. While this qualifies you for notification under Collective Protocol 7249, your technological level does not meet the minimum requirements for consultation or negotiation. The harvesting will commence in 300 of your planetary rotations. Evacuation is neither required nor advised, as our process will be optimized to maintain planetary habitability at 73% of current levels. The Collective appreciates your cooperation." The message repeated on a loop, its implications becoming more staggering with each iteration. 300 days until an advanced alien civilization would arrive to drain their sun of energy, with apparently as much concern for humanity's opinion as humans would have for ants in the path of a highway construction project. Within 24 hours, Elena found herself presenting to the United Earth Council, the planet's highest governing body. The chamber was packed with representatives from every nation, their faces grave as they watched the translated message play out on the massive holoscreen. "They're not even trying to communicate with us properly," Elena explained, her voice echoing in the hushed chamber. "Based on their quantum technology level, they could easily send us detailed communications, perhaps even real-time interactions. Instead, they've chosen to use what they consider a simplified format, the equivalent of leaving a notice in simple pictures for primitives to understand. They're underestimating us," observed General Sarah Way, commander of Earth's Defense Forces. Her expression was thoughtful, calculating. "They've scanned our visible technology, our chemical rockets, our basic quantum detectors, our fledgling space stations, and concluded we're barely worth notifying." "Precisely," Elena agreed. "They don't know about Project Starweaver or any of our other hidden advances. They have no idea that we can even properly decode their quantum communications, let alone understand the full implications of their technology." The council chamber erupted in worried murmurs. Project Starweaver was humanity's best-kept secret, a revolutionary quantum engineering program that had made breakthroughs in energy manipulation and space-time mechanics. For 20 years, the world's finest minds had worked in secret developing technologies that could potentially rival or exceed those of advanced alien civilizations. But it had all been kept hidden, buried in underground facilities, and shielded from detection. Council President Chen raised his hand for silence. Dr. Santos, in your expert opinion, what are they expecting from us? Elena straightened, her expression grim but determined. Based on their message format and tone, they expect panic, possibly some primitive attempts at communication or resistance. They see us as pre-spacefaring primitives who might react with spears and rocks against their advanced technology. They don't expect us to truly understand what they're planning, let alone have the capability to oppose it. General Wei stepped forward, her military uniform pristine, her bearing confident. Then perhaps we should give them exactly what they expect. At first, let them see our public face, our apparent primitive struggles. Let them watch us launch chemical rockets and deploy basic particle shields. Let them grow even more confident in their superiority. A slow smile spread across Elena's face as she understood the implications. While all along we prepare our real response, they've given us one enormous advantage. They've told us exactly when they're coming. And they don't think we're advanced enough to do anything about it. President Chen nodded slowly. A unanimous vote was reached this morning. Project Starweaver has been given full operational authority. General Wei, you'll coordinate with Dr. Santos to prepare our response. If the Nexus Collective wants to treat us like primitives, we'll let them, right up until the moment they learn their mistake. As Elena left the council chamber with General Wei, her mind was already racing with possibilities. The collective had made the oldest mistake in the book. They judged their opponent by appearances alone. They thought they were dealing with primitive humans playing with their first tentative steps into space. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in the technology they displayed. It was in the intelligence they kept hidden, waiting for the right moment to reveal. The Nexus Collective had just started a game of deception, not realizing that humans had been masters of it since they first learned to hunt on the African savanna. They had 300 days to prepare the greatest technological masquerade in human history, and when the collective finally arrived, expecting to find a primitive civilization helpless before their might, they would instead discover that humanity had a few surprises of their own. 250 days before the collective's arrival, Earth put on the greatest show in human history. Chemical rockets launched daily from spaceports around the globe, carrying what appeared to be desperate supplies to hastily constructed orbital platforms. Construction crews worked openly on a network of seemingly primitive defense satellites, their radio chatter deliberately unencrypted and filled with concerns about untested technology. Deep beneath the Atacama Desert, General Sarah Wei watched the performance with satisfaction. The massive underground command center of Project Starweaver hummed with contained power, its quantum cores hidden from even the most sophisticated scanning technology by layers of revolutionary masking fields. Status report, she commanded, her voice carrying across the holographic command center where hundreds of Earth's finest scientists and military strategists worked in perfect synchronization. Dr. Marcus Chen, head of quantum engineering, looked up from his console. The collective's long-range scouts are watching exactly what we want them to see, General. Their quantum sensors are detecting our primitive nuclear-powered shields and our clumsy attempts at particle beam weapons. They're recording everything, and our real preparations. Marcus allowed himself a small smile. Completely invisible. The quantum masking fields are performing beyond expectations. We could have a supernova going off down here, and their sensors would only detect desert rocks and sand. Weed nodded, turning her attention to the massive holographic display showing Earth's apparent defense network. To any observer, it looked like humanity was desperately cobbling together whatever defenses they could manage with their limited technology. The reality couldn't have been more different. Dr. Santos, what's the latest on their communications? Elena Santos, now serving as head of Sinological Intelligence, brought up a new holographic window. They're transmitting regular updates back to their main fleet, The level of condescension in their quantum packets is almost amusing. Listen to this latest intercept. A translation appeared in the air. Pre-spacefaring species displaying typical panic response to harvesting notice. Primitive defensive preparations noted. Recommended adjustment to harvesting timeline. None. Technological threat assessment downgraded from minimal to negligible. Perfect. Wei said, allowing herself a moment of satisfaction. They're not just underestimating us. They're actively reducing their own preparedness. Dr. Chen, how are the quantum web nodes progressing? Marcus gestured, and the holographic display shifted to show a complex network of points scattered throughout the solar system. We've successfully seeded 80% of the planned network. Each node is disguised as space debris or natural asteroid fragments. When activated, they'll create a quantum entanglement field that will turn the collective's own energy manipulation against them. The quantum web was humanity's masterstroke. Technology so advanced that even the collective wouldn't expect it from a primitive civilization. Each node contained revolutionary quantum processors that could analyze and replicate enemy energy signatures in real time, creating a defensive network that would actually become stronger as the enemy used more power against it. And the honeypot defense? Wei asked, turning to another section of the command center. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, head of strategic operations, stepped forward. Her team had been responsible for designing the layers of deliberate vulnerabilities that would draw the collective into exactly the positions Earth wanted them to take. All elements in place, General. We've created apparent weaknesses in our orbital defense grid that any advanced species would naturally exploit. Each one is a carefully crafted trap. The more they scan our defenses, the more convinced they'll become that they've found our real vulnerabilities. Wei studied the tactical displays, her expression thoughtful. The plan relied on something humans had learned through millennia of warfare. The greatest weakness of any advanced civilization was its own sense of superiority. The collective, with its dismissive attitude toward lesser species, was about to experience this lesson firsthand. What about the civilian population? Wei asked, turning to Dr. James Morrison, head of public operations. The public shelters are complete, Morrison reported. We're maintaining the appearance of panic and disorganization, but every human being will be safely hidden in our quantum-shielded bunkers well before the collective arrives. As far as they'll be able to tell, we're just cowering in primitive underground shelters. The deception went far beyond military preparations. Every aspect of human civilization had been carefully orchestrated to maintain the illusion of a primitive species struggling with technology they barely understood. Even the global internet had been carefully curated to show only the level of technology Earth wanted the collective to see. Elena's console suddenly lit up with new data. General, we're picking up increased quantum chatter from the collective's advanced scouts. She paused, a smile playing at her lips. They're actually laughing at our attempts to build particle shields. Their technical analysis suggests our shields would barely stop solar radiation, let alone their weapons. Wei walked to the center of the command room, her voice carrying to every corner. Remember, everyone, our greatest weapon isn't our technology. It's their certainty that they know what we're capable of. In 50 days, they'll send their advance fleet. They'll expect to find a primitive civilization trying to defend itself with technology barely more advanced than sharp sticks. Instead, they'll find that humanity has a few surprises waiting. The room hummed with focused energy as Earth's defenders continued their work. In orbit, humanity's apparent desperate preparations continued, each clumsy attempt at defense carefully calculated to reinforce the collective's prejudices. Deep beneath the surface, however, the real preparations were nearly complete. Humanity had spent its entire history learning to survive against superior forces, from prehistoric hunts against larger predators to ancient armies defeating technologically advanced empires. Now they would apply those same lessons on a galactic scale. The collective thought they were dealing with primitives. They were about to learn that underestimating humanity was the last mistake many predators had made. As Wei studied the latest reports, a message from one of the collective's scouts flashed across her screen. These humans are even more primitive than initially assessed. They appear to be attempting to modify their chemical rockets with basic particle shielding. The level of technological ignorance would be amusing if it weren't so pitiful. She smiled. In the game of deception, the greatest victory was when your opponent convinced themselves of your weakness. The collective wasn't just underestimating humanity. They were actively talking themselves into a sense of absolute superiority. And in 50 days, when their advance fleet arrived, they would learn the cost of that arrogance. The greatest predator was not the one that showed its strength, but the one that waited patiently, appearing weak until the perfect moment to strike. Humanity had learned this lesson through countless generations of evolution and warfare. Now, they would teach it to the stars. The collective's advance fleet emerged from quantum space at the edge of the solar system, their crystalline ships gleaming in the distant sunlight. Archon 7, commander of the Harvest Fleet, observed the primitive defenses around Earth with all 4 of his sensory clusters radiating amused contempt. "Begin standard harvesting approach," he commanded, his quantum consciousness resonating through the fleet's neural network. "Minimal defensive protocols. These humans won't even understand what's happening until it's over." The fleet moved forward with casual arrogance, their sensors detecting exactly what Earth wanted them to see: a handful of crude orbital platforms, primitive particle shields flickering unstably around major cities, and a scattered network of basic defense satellites that barely deserved the name. In the Starweaver Command Center, General Y watched the approaching fleet with practiced calm. "Status of the quantum web. All nodes in position and fully masked," Dr. Chen reported. "They're proceeding exactly as predicted, following the path of least resistance that we laid out for them." The collective fleet spread out in a standard harvest formation, not even bothering to maintain defensive screens between their ships. Their scans had detected nothing that could possibly threaten vessels of their technological level. That was their first mistake. "They're approaching the outer marker," Elena announced, monitoring the quantum communications between the alien ships. "Their tactical analysis is, hold on," she laughed softly. "They're actually reducing power to their weapon systems to avoid wasteful energy expenditure against primitive defenses." We nodded. "Initiate Phase 1. Let's show them our first little surprise." As the collective fleet passed through the asteroid belt, they triggered the first layer of Earth's true defense network. What appeared to be simple debris suddenly came alive with quantum energy, creating a complex web of intersecting fields that began to resonate with the aliens' own drive frequencies. "What is this?" Archon 7's sensory clusters flared with sudden concern as 3 of his escort ships began experiencing power fluctuations, some kind of natural phenomenon. These primitives couldn't possibly. "Sir," his second-in-command interrupted, "we're detecting unusual energy patterns. The debris field, it appears to be generating quantum interference fields of significant complexity." "Impossible," Archon 7 dismissed. "Their technology is centuries away from even basic quantum manipulation. Launch the harvest drones. Let's show them what real power looks like." Thousands of crystalline drones deployed from the fleet's carrier ships, their quantum weapons charging as they descended toward Earth's atmosphere. They encountered what appeared to be a thin layer of primitive orbital defense satellites. In the command center, Wei gave a slight smile. "Activate the honeypot defense." The seemingly primitive satellites suddenly transformed, their surfaces rippling like liquid metal. Before the collective drones could react, the satellites released swarms of quantum-entangled particles that began interfacing directly with the drone's control systems. "Impossible." Archon 7's consciousness rippled with shock as drone after drone went dark, their quantum matrices scrambled by technology that shouldn't have existed. "These readings, they can't be right. These are just primitive apes playing with their first space toys." Elena monitored the collective's increasingly panicked communications with satisfaction. "They're still trying to explain it away, General. Their working theory is that they've encountered some kind of natural quantum phenomenon that we stumbled upon by accident." "Perfect," White replied. "They're rationalizing instead of reassessing." Dr. Chen, prepare for Phase 2. The collective fleet regrouped, abandoning their casual approach for a more defensive formation. Arction 7's consciousness burned with wounded pride and growing confusion. Full power to weapons, he commanded. Whatever lucky accident these primitives have discovered, we'll show them what real quantum mastery looks like. That was exactly what humanity had been waiting for. As the collective ships powered up their main weapons, the quantum web nodes scattered throughout the solar system activated their secondary protocols. Each node began absorbing and analyzing the enemy's energy signatures, creating a perfect replica of their quantum frequency patterns. "Sir," Arction 7's tactical officer called out in alarm. "Our weapon signatures. They're being reflected back at us, but amplified somehow. This is beyond primitive technology." "This is impossible," Arction 7 repeated, but with less certainty now. They were launching chemical rockets just days ago. Their quantum sensors were barely functional. We watched them struggle with basic particle shields. In the command center, Dr. Tanaka's strategic team monitored the collective's mounting confusion with professional satisfaction. "They're trying to power through it," she reported. "Exactly as predicted. Their cultural database indicates the collective has never encountered serious resistance from a pre-spacefaring civilization. They don't have protocols for this situation." The space around Earth's orbit had become a quantum light show as the collective's weapons fire was caught in increasingly complex webs of energy, each blast being redirected and repurposed by humanity's hidden defense network. Ships that had never needed defensive screens found themselves vulnerable to their own reflected energy. "General," Elena called out, her voice tight with excitement, "we're detecting a massive surge in their quantum communications. They're calling for reinforcements. Their messages." She paused, reading the translations. "They're claiming impossible technology, suggesting some kind of hidden advanced civilization must be protecting Earth. They still can't believe this is our doing." Wei's expression remained calm, but her eyes gleamed with satisfaction. "And that's exactly why they'll lose. They're so convinced of their superiority that they'll grasp at any explanation except the truth, that the primitives they dismissed might actually be their equals." The collective fleet was now fully engaged, their formation tight and defensive as they tried to understand what they were facing. Ships that had arrived expecting to find helpless primitives now found themselves caught in an increasingly complex web of quantum engineering that rivaled or exceeded their own capabilities. "Deploy the next phase of orbital platforms," Wei commanded. "Let's show them another piece of what humanity can do." As the battle continued in space, humanity's careful deception began to unravel layer by layer, revealing not the primitive civilization the collective had expected, but something far more dangerous, an enemy that had learned the art of hiding its true strength until the perfect moment to strike. The greatest predator wasn't the one that showed its teeth first, but the one that waited patiently in the shadows, appearing weak until the moment was right. Humanity had spent 20 years preparing for this moment, and the collective was about to learn why underestimating Earth was the last mistake so many others had made. Arction 7's consciousness roiled with a sensation he had never experienced in 3 centuries of commanding harvest fleets. Fear. Around his flagship, a dozen collective vessels hung powerless in space, their quantum matrices tangled in impossibly complex webs of energy that shouldn't have existed. "Full retreat," he commanded, his thought patterns sharp with desperation. "Regroup at the outer system boundary. We need to understand what we're dealing with." But retreat was no longer an option. As the collective ships attempted to engage their quantum drives, they discovered that the very fabric of space around them had been subtly altered. They were trapped in a web that had been decades in the making. In the Starweaver Command Center, Dr. Chen's quantum engineering team worked with precise coordination. "The spatial matrix is holding, General. They're completely contained within our quantum lighthouse network." We nodded, studying the tactical displays. "Dr. Santos, what are they thinking now?" Elena's fingers danced across her quantum interface, decoding the frantic communications between the trapped ships. They're still in denial, but it's cracking. Listen to this. Impossible technology detected. Evidence suggests hidden advanced civilization using primitive humans as cover. Recommend immediate diplomatic contact with true controllers of system. They still can't accept the truth, Wei said, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. Execute Phase 4. Let's show them exactly who they're dealing with. Deep beneath the lunar surface, humanity's greatest technological achievement began to awaken. Project Starweaver's true masterpiece wasn't the quantum web that had trapped the collective fleet. It was what that web had been preparing for all along. Quantum core synchronization at 100%, Dr. Chen reported. Initiating full spectrum reveal. The space around the trapped collective fleet suddenly lit up with complex patterns of energy that made their own quantum technology look primitive by comparison. What they had thought was a simple containment field revealed itself as something far more sophisticated, a quantum computational matrix of unprecedented scale. This is impossible. Arction 7's consciousness broadcast across all frequencies. These readings, this level of quantum manipulation, no pre-spacefaring species could achieve this. Actually, Elena's voice transmitted clearly across the quantum frequencies, making the collective ships pulse with shock at the casual display of communication technology. They thought beyond human capability. We achieved this precisely because you and others like you believed it impossible. In the void between Earth and Moon, space itself seemed to ripple as humanity's hidden quantum lighthouse network revealed its true nature. Each node wasn't just a simple energy trap. It was part of a vast quantum computer that had been analyzing and adapting to collective technology since the moment they entered the solar system. You see, Wei's voice joined the transmission. Humanity learned long ago that the best way to advance wasn't to show everyone what we could do. It was to let them underestimate us while we watched and learned. The trapped collective ships witnessed something that shattered their understanding of technological progression. The quantum web around them wasn't just containing them. It was actively interfacing with their systems, understanding and adapting to their technology in real time. Dr. Chen's team activated the final phase of the Quantum Lighthouse Network. Each node began broadcasting on frequencies that interfaced directly with the collective ship's neural networks, giving them their first true look at humanity's level of advancement. Your quantum technology is impressive, Elena transmitted, but it's limited by your assumptions about how it should work. While you were busy laughing at our chemical rockets, we were studying different approaches entirely. The space around the collective fleet filled with holographic displays, showing the true extent of human technological development. Hidden bases throughout the solar system dropped their quantum masks, revealing installations that rivaled or exceeded anything in the collective's empire. Impossible, Arction 7 whispered again, but this time in awe rather than denial. Your species, you hid all of this. But why? How? Because, Wei replied, we learned from Earth's predators. The most successful hunters aren't the ones that show their strength. They're the ones that wait patiently, appear weak, and strike only when the moment is perfect. Through the quantum network, humanity showed the collective memories of Earth's history. Prehistoric humans using cunning to hunt animals far stronger than themselves. Ancient armies defeating technologically superior forces through strategy and deception. And the long path that had led humanity to this moment. Your mistake, Elena explained, wasn't in underestimating our current technology. Your mistake was in assuming that our apparent technological level reflected our true capabilities. While you watched our primitive space launches, you never asked why a species smart enough to detect your quantum communications would keep using chemical rockets. The Quantum Lighthouse Network now held the entire collective fleet in a grip that demonstrated mastery of physical laws the aliens had thought beyond human comprehension. Each attempt to resist simply gave the adaptive network more information to work with, more patterns to analyze and counter. We could destroy your fleet, Wei transmitted, but that's not our goal. We're not interested in conquest or dominance. What we want is understanding. Real understanding, not the dismissive assessment you made of our civilization. Dr. Chen's displays showed the quantum lighthouse network's final configuration. Not a weapon, but a bridge. The energy web holding the collective ships transformed into a demonstration of human quantum engineering that even Archon 7's centuries of experience struggle to comprehend. You came here expecting to find primitives barely worth noticing, Elena said. Instead, you found a species that had learned to hide its strength, to watch and wait, and to turn your own assumptions against you. The question now is, what will you do with that knowledge? As the collective ships hung powerless in space, surrounded by technology they had thought impossible, humanity waited for their response. The deception was over. Now would come the true test, whether an advanced civilization could learn from its mistakes, and whether two species that had started as predator and prey could find a different way forward. In the tense silence of space, humanity's quantum lighthouse network held the collective fleet in a gentle but unbreakable grip. Archon 7's consciousness churned with emotions no collective being had experienced in centuries. Humility, wonder, and a dawning recognition that would reshape his civilization's understanding of the universe. You could have revealed your true capabilities at any time, he transmitted, his quantum patterns carrying undertones of bewilderment. Why maintain such an elaborate deception? Why allow us to believe you primitive when you clearly rival or exceed our own technological achievement? In the Starweaver Command Center, General Wei shared a knowing look with Elena before responding. Because the moment you announced your intentions, you taught us something crucial about your civilization. You judged worth purely by apparent technological advancement. We needed to understand you, Elena added, her voice carrying across the quantum frequencies. Not just your technology, but your thoughts, your assumptions, your blind spots, every dismissive message you sent, every arrogant assessment of our capabilities, taught us exactly how to defeat you. Through the quantum network, humanity shared images of Earth's evolutionary history, early humans surviving against seemingly impossible odds, civilizations rising and falling, each generation learning and adapting. Our planet taught us harsh lessons, Wei explained. The strongest creature isn't always the one that survives. Often, it's the one that learns to adapt, to observe, to understand its opponents. Dr. Chen's quantum displays showed the collective fleet something unprecedented, a complete analysis of their technology, along with dozens of potential improvements humanity had theorized simply by observing their ships. While you were laughing at our chemical rockets, he transmitted, we were studying how you manipulate quantum fields. While you dismissed our primitive shields, we were developing ways to enhance your own technology. Archon 7's consciousness rippled with a new emotion, respect. Your species, you are not what we thought. Perhaps we are not what we thought either. His quantum patterns shifted, showing genuine curiosity for the first time. You say you want understanding. What does that mean, exactly? It means, Elena replied, that we want to change the relationship between our civilizations. Not harvester and harvested, not advanced and primitive, but equals with different perspectives and experiences to share. The quantum lighthouse network shifted again, its energy patterns forming complex interactive displays that showed the collective alternatives to their stellar harvesting. More efficient energy collection methods humanity had developed through their hidden quantum engineering program. You see, Wei explained, while you were perfecting ways to extract energy from stars, we were working on something different. We had to develop technologies that wouldn't be detected, which led us to discover entirely new approaches to quantum engineering. Through the network, humanity demonstrated energy harvesting techniques that could collect the same amount of power with a fraction of the impact on stellar systems. The collective ship's sensors registered the data with growing amazement. All of this, Archon 7 transmitted, from a species we thought barely worth notifying. Our arrogance, it blinded us to possibilities we never considered. That's exactly what we want to change, Elena said. Your civilization has incredible achievements, vast knowledge we could learn from. But you've stopped learning from others, assuming that technological advancement was the only measure of worth. Dr. Chen's team initiated the final phase of the Quantum Lighthouse Network, transforming it from a containment system into a true bridge between civilizations. The energy fields holding the collective ships became pathways for deep, direct communication. "We're releasing your ships," Wei announced. "Not because we have to, but because we choose to." The question is, what will you choose to do with this new understanding? Archon 7's consciousness expanded through the communication network, truly seeing humanity for the first time. He witnessed their history, their struggles, their incredible adaptability. He saw how they had turned their harsh world's lessons into strengths, how they had learned to hide and observe, and grow stronger through understanding their opponents. "I choose," he transmitted finally, "to learn. To recommend to the collective that we fundamentally change how we interact with other civilizations. You've shown us that technological advancement isn't just about building bigger machines or more powerful weapons. It's about wisdom in how we use what we know." The Quantum Lighthouse Network shimmered with new patterns as humanity and the collective began truly sharing knowledge. The aliens learned of humanity's unique approaches to quantum engineering, born from necessity and secrecy. Humanity gained insights into technologies the collective had perfected over centuries. "Perhaps," Elena suggested, "we could work together to develop better ways of identifying and communicating with emerging civilizations, ways that don't involve threats or assumptions of superiority." "Yes," Archon 7 agreed, his consciousness resonating with new purpose. "And perhaps we could learn from your methods of adaptation and observation. Our certainty in our own superiority has limited us in ways we never realized." As the Earth's sun rose over the lunar horizon, it illuminated a scene very different from what the collective had planned. Instead of a harvest fleet dominating a primitive world, it showed two civilizations beginning to understand each other, their ships linked by bridges of light and knowledge. "You came here thinking you would find simple prey," Wei transmitted. "Instead, you found equals who had learned to hide their strength until the right moment. But now that moment has passed, and we can move forward together, neither predator nor prey, but partners in exploration and discovery." The Quantum Lighthouse Network pulsed one final time, its energy patterns forming a symbolic bridge between Earth and the collective fleet. It represented not just a technological achievement, but a fundamental change in how civilizations could interact, not through dominance and submission, but through mutual understanding and respect. Humanity had proven that true strength wasn't always in what you showed the world, but in how you chose to use what you knew. The collective had learned that dismissing others based on appearances meant missing opportunities for growth and understanding. Together, they had turned a moment of potential conflict into the beginning of something far more valuable, a partnership that would reshape their understanding of both technology and civilization itself.